If you like layout shares and you want to stay tuned, I have several scrapbook layouts that I worked on between January and February that I want to share with you next on the Victoria Marie YouTube channel. Welcome back to the Victoria Marie YouTube channel. I'm Victoria, and here on this channel, I feature all things scrapbooking and crafty related. If that's something that you like, make sure you hit the subscribe button. When you do, click that tiny little bell. That way YouTube will let you know each and every time I post a video here to the channel. Today, I'm going to be sharing some scrapbooking projects that I have worked on between January and February. So if you like layout shares, then stick around, grab yourself a snack and a drink, and let's get started. So I'm going to start out with some 8.5 by 11 layouts and then move into 12 by 12 layouts. So this 8.5 by 11 layout is called Capturing 36, and recently I've gone back to document some of my past birthdays. I'm actually going to be 39 this year, but I wanted to go back and make sure that these stories were in my scrapbook that's all about me. So I created this layout using a really beautiful floral stamp set, as well as some watercolors that are metallic watercolor, and I trimmed down a piece of watercolor paper from Tonic to 8.5 by 11 so that I could do this watercolor treatment here, or this watercolor design here on this layout. So I simply just stamped the images in black and then colored it in using the metallic watercolor. And it's kind of hard to pick up on the iridescence of that watercolor, but it's really pretty. And then I reached in my stash and grabbed some die cuts and some chipboard stickers and some wood veneer, as well as this really beautiful green and white striped pattern paper just to make my photo pop. This photo was printed, I believe, at 4 by 6, and it's just a selfie that I took on the day that I turned 36 years old. Next up is a spread called Scrapbooking Goddess, and I created this layout using the Victoria Marie Scrapbooking Goddess stamp set. This was a collaboration with the Ink Road stamps. I, in fact, have some of these stamp sets left, so if you're interested, make sure you check out the Victoria Marie shop. There's a link posted down below. So using some papers and materials from my stash, I created this really fun pattern paper border here at the top, positioned my photo, popped that up on a little bit of foam. I have some enamel dots as well as some sticker die cuts from the collection that I used, and I created a really pretty layered cluster down here at the bottom. Of course, if you've been following me for a while, then you know I love to layer. But of course, the exciting thing about this layout is I used my stamp set. So this turned out really great. I love using large stamps like this in order to create titles and other accents on a scrapbook page. Next up, I have a layout that I use the Hooray collection from American Crafts that's really a birthday themed collection, and I used it to document this story of my daughter and her obsession with Starbucks cake balls. So to begin, I used a piece of 12 by 12 pattern paper that I trimmed down slightly under 11.5 or slightly under 8.5 by 11. I created the title using two thickers font designs. So I have the letter fonts here. These are a silver glittery font. And then I also used this word that says cake, and it broke up the title just a little bit, added a tiny bit of interest to that. Used some die cuts to really pop it out, like eat cake, yay, treat yourself, hooray, because she was really excited about getting a cake ball. Also added a tag, which was actually a cut apart from one of the pattern papers that comes with the particular collection, a little bit of twine. And then these stars here, this one here at the top and then here at the bottom, I actually cut using my Silhouette die cutting machine. I had cut these out for another project and I had some left, so I popped them on here to this layout. Then I also added some foam silver glitter stars as well from another thicker set. I think it was the same one, the Hooray collection that was a part of the little foam sticker set. But I love the way that this came out, and I've been so used to using gold, since gold became a thing again over the past few years, that I forget how beautiful silver looks, right? So when I popped this on the layout against all these beautiful colors, I knew I was in business. So this was a really fun layout to put together. Next up, this layout's called Practice. Again, another 8.5 by 11, lots of good journaling here. What I did was I used some materials from my stash and coordinated pattern papers from different manufacturers. I also cut the title Practice off of my Silhouette die cutting machine, printed my photos in black and white, also added some layered clusters using some stickers, as well as these really fun cork hearts that have been laying around in my stash for a while. So everything that I use on this page is from my stash. I love how these clusters came together. Again, if you've been with me for a while, you know I love to layer. So I created 3 clusters to give a visual triangle here on the layout. Lots of robust journaling. Here in this layout, I'm talking about my daughter who recently found a very popular YouTuber named Anna McNulty, who I think is a gymnast or a cheerleader, but she does these tutorials on stretching and that type of stuff. And so Corinne's really been into that because she too is a gymnast and a ballerina. So she has been practicing all of these different stretching moves, and it really has helped her a lot with her technique. So I wanted to make sure that I documented that story. Next, this layout's called Memories in 1987. And this little chica here is me when I was a youngster. I was probably about 6 in this photo, along with me and my little friend Krista, who I have since lost touch with. But I had attended dance classes at a studio called Karen's Kids Studio. It's now called something else many years ago. The original owner is now retired. But I found these pictures recently in one of my photo albums that my mother has put together for me. So I decided to take a picture of the original photo and create a layout about this. I was feeling pretty nostalgic, particularly now that my daughter is taking dance classes again. So I wanted to create a nice and simple layout using items again from my stash. So I took some pattern paper, did a distress technique simply by tearing the paper. That is a technique that has not gone out of style. So if you like doing that type of thing, continue, because it adds so much texture and interest. And so I took some coordinating pattern paper and repeated that same distress tear here at the bottom, added a couple of clusters using some stickers and other embellishments from my stash. This piece here that says Memories, I purchased from, I want to say Tuesday Morning, but it's from American Crafts. I also added a little label here that says Happy Little Moments. And this font is from Felicity Jane. So lots of different manufacturers all coming together for this complete composition for this 8.5 by 11 layout. Next up, another 8.5 by 11. This one's called Favorite Girl. Again, using some materials from my stash. I grabbed this navy blue and white stripe pattern paper, which I'm gonna be honest with you, I hoarded like crazy because it's so beautiful. I love this color combination with the navy blue and the white. Paired it with pink and a little bit of this mustard yellow. I mean, it's fantastic. I have 2 3x4 photos that I resized using my Pick Frame app on my iPhone. I also used some chipboard stickers as well. Little flowers, this beautiful little, I guess this would be a lantern maybe, or maybe a balloon with ribbons, a butterfly, a label that says I love you. And this is a story about my daughter and I were at Starbucks, which we are always at Starbucks. If you follow me on social media, then you know my daughter and I usually go to Starbucks once a week. And she was all decked out in pink, and she had gone to Justice for Girls, this little fashion store for girls, and she bought this headband that has this fake multicolored hair, which I absolutely hate. I hate this stuff because it gets everywhere, but she loves it. So she decided to put her headband on, and she has her pink jacket, and she's got her Starbucks, and she's just living her life. So I wanted to make sure that I document this story, mainly because she's growing so fast and her interests are changing, and it's just so fun to look at the scrapbook pages from year to year to see what she's into. And apparently back in October 2019, she was into this crazy little headband. So I went ahead and created this really fun layout featuring her. The journaling says, out and about, all decked out in pink, complete with a rainbow colored faux headband. You have such a big personality and a smile that lights up the room. Live your best life, little girl, and always be true to yourself. And that is true. She is definitely one who marches to the tune of her own band. Moving on to 12 by 12 layouts. This layout's called Love Grows Here, and I created this for the Victoria Marie Scrap Boss Patreon community. And this is a part of a series that I like to call Patron Pick, where my patrons get to pick out 5 elements that I will use then on a scrapbook page. So for this project, I had to use washi tape, frames, mixed media, and I also had to use a large title, and I forget what else. There's one other element. Maybe labels. And so to start out with, I created this background using both pattern paper and washi tape. So the stripe here is the washi tape. This is a really great way to use up some of the washi tape things that we have rolling around our scrapbook spaces. These frames came from my stash, and I used some Nuvo expanding mousse to create the dots using a stencil. So I have a little bit of raised texture dimension there using that product. So that was the mixed media part of it. And then of course I created 2 clusters with some chipboard pieces. I backed the frames with vellum so that it would mute that pattern underneath a little bit so that it wouldn't stand out so much behind the photos. I also have some puffy stars, this large title that says Love Grows Here. This was a part of a thicker set. And I like these type of font stickers because it does all the work for you. You can just slap one on the page and have an instant title, and it's great. And I also grabbed from I think it was Maggie Holmes, I believe, sticker sheet, these little banners that I tucked underneath there to add a little bit more interest. Next up is a 12 by 12 multi-photo layout. It's called Good Times Had by All. And this is after Christmas when my daughter and my spouse and I went to Justice for Girls, which is a popular fashion store. My daughter absolutely loves this store. And she had gift cards to burn through. And we're at a point now where she's old enough to sort of pick out the things that she wants to buy, but my spouse and I have to sit back because, you know, we can't embarrass her and all those things. We can't, you know, mess up her rep, her style. So we basically now, when we go shopping, we stand off to the side, and this is us taking a picture of us obviously, you know, adapting to our new role, and then my daughter shopping, and then of course paying for her items with her gift card. So I did quite a bit of journaling here to kind of talk about this story, and this is where we're at in our experience as parents. I wanted to use all these photos, and notice that they're printed at different sizes. And I think this is a really great way to get a lot of photos on one spread, particularly if you're a 12 by 12 scrapper, one page 12 by 12 scrapper like I am, or even you could duplicate this and create a 2-page spread. So I have 2 4 by 6 photos, and then 2 photos that are printed a little roughly around 3 by 3. I used, again, items from my stash. So this pattern paper might look familiar. This came from the Hooray collection, little birthday theme collection that I created another layout with. And then I have this really fun stripe pattern paper. And notice I have 2 stripes going on, and that's okay because this stripe pattern paper is a little bit wider of a pattern paper, and I have it going on the vertical. Then we have the thin stripes here that are going on the horizontal, but they work well together. I also put a bit of pattern paper behind this photo. I have my title here that I used from some chipboard pieces from a thicker set that says Good Times. This is also from Thickers as well, this tiny, small, little multicolor font, some of my favorites. I created some small clusters using some chipboard stickers, as well as some labels. And I also used some rub-ons. Remember that? I have lots of rub-ons in my stash. Here's some right here. And then these butterflies as well. Love the way that this came together. And more importantly, I just really love the story and this documenting this point in our parenting journey. And of course, this point as my daughter is quickly becoming a tween. Next up is a 12 by 12 layout called Scrapbook Party. And here I'm documenting an evening of me and my daughter scrapbooking, and the fact that she loves being in my studio and that we relax and enjoy for several hours as she's making all the things and using all of my sequin on her projects. We watch movies, we have snacks, and I just really love creating with her. And scrapbooking has become a hobby for her that she enjoys and that she loves. And so I'm glad that I'm able to share this with her. So I used some items from my stash. I have some white textured cardstock, printed my photos 3 by 4, put it here on a photo strip, and I printed it black and white because I knew that I wanted to use some really beautiful colors on this layout, but also the photos themselves came out with a little bit of a yellow hue, and I didn't like it. So I went ahead and printed them black and white. So this white texture cardstock is mounted on some black and white dotted pattern paper. I don't particularly care for the pattern paper, but I wanted some sort of black pattern border. And so I reached in my stash and I selected this one so I could use it up. I also did some faux stamping here that mimics a stitching just to sort of bring the layout together. Behind the photos are some pattern paper. So I have a strip of pattern paper here and one down here at the bottom. I also did a little bit of stamping with a little scallop. It wasn't in a straight line, but it's stamping nonetheless, and also created some really fun clusters. Now the collection I used to make this particular cluster is from it's a collection, it's a scrapbooking crafting collection. I forget the name of it. It was designed by my friend Becky Adams for Keep It Simple Scrapper. And it was all about crafting. So lots of themes in there, addicted to shiny things, let's get creative. So it worked. There's also this chipboard word that says party that came with the kit. And all I did was a dipped effect using heat embossing powder to create this really fun design on this word. I used some Thickers letters here at the top, as well as some leatherette bows from Amy Tangerine. I cut out some tags that came with a cut apart sheet with the Keep It Simple collection that I used from this. Added a little bit of twine there for some texture and interest, as well as some enamel dots. I really love this cluster here with the 2 pencils and the heart that came from the sticker sheet from the Keep It Simple collection that I used for this layout. Now, I particularly love this layout because it's so striking, using the neutral colors of white and black, but also bringing in pops of color. So when you start with a neutral base, you can essentially use any color that you want to. And this actually was a really popular layout that I posted on my Instagram feed. And when I finished it, I liked it, but I don't think that I loved it as much as other people have loved it. And now that I'm looking at it, I really do like it. This turned out to be an excellent scrapbook page. telling a really fun story as well. And lastly, this is a layout called Crema Street, and I'm documenting a really fun day where my family and I went on a foodie adventure, and we stumbled upon an ice cream shop called Crema Street, where I think they make the ice cream using nitrogen or something like that, but I wanted to document the process as well as the yummy ice cream that we ate. I believe for this layout, I used majority of the items from Carousel by Maggie Holmes, I believe, from the pattern paper and some of these embellishments. I really want to play off the pattern paper design and the diagonal by putting most of everything, well, actually not most of everything here in the middle of the layout. Now, the photo for this layout I created using PicMonkey, which is a web-based photo editor. It also features a lot of templates that you can use to create grids and other designs for photos. So I picked one of the grids and resized it so that it would position here nicely in the middle of my photo, or the middle of my layout. I backed the photo with some pattern paper as well as a doily from my stash, and then several elements from the Maggie Holmes Carousel collection, from this die cut to the stickers with the cotton candy, which look like, well, this one is ice cream, but this one's cotton candy, but it looked like ice cream to me. So I went ahead and popped it up there, as well as this hot air balloon and the little register. These are all icons that I probably wouldn't have used any other time, but I figured ice cream's fun. I'm documenting about this tasty treat and our experience, so why not? I also used a really fun thicker set to spell out the word Crema Street. And then this little label down here came from another thicker chipboard set, and it says eat dessert first, because we did eat dessert first before dinner that day. I also have a fun tag or tab here from Felicity Jane, which I added a label that says Fun Day. I want to say that's from a Bella Boulevard sticker sheet. I also have a pocket here. This is from Felicity Jane. And inside the pocket, I created this tag using some white cardstock, a little bit of twine, and I created my own enforcer. And I'm going to go ahead and add some journaling to that before I put the layout in its appropriate album. Here to the top, I have this really fun sticker banner, and then I created accents using some enamel dots. I really love this layout. It's just so pretty and fun and whimsical, and some of these elements that I wouldn't have thought to use before, because it's, you know, the Carousel collection is quite a whimsical collection. I thought it just worked perfectly for this layout, so I'm glad I was able to get a lot of those elements used. So that is all for my January and February layout share. If you have any questions about any of the projects that I featured here on this video, make sure you post it down in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next video. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. When you do, click the bell indicator. That way you'll know each and every time I post a new video. I'll see you next time.